Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call this Wright Township Board of Supervisor meeting to order. Please rise for pledge of allegiance to our flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thanks everyone for coming out this evening. If you could join us in a moment of silence, please. Okay, citizen participation, this is for items on the agenda. Do we have any at this time? John?
Yeah, I have two items. In the July 23rd meeting, Jim, you said you would make the revised employee handbook available to the public to review prior to voting when the draft was in its final form. I see the agenda has the item consider approval of newly revised employee handbook, but nothing was made available for review by the public on the website. Any comment on that from the board?
Yeah, the comment is we're not voting to approve it tonight, John.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and the second thing I have is, it relates to the budget for the trash. Can the supervisor tell us what the balance of the solid waste fund is?
The balance, I don't have it right with me now, no. I can't, I'm not gonna tell you over the top of my head.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking at the last year's audit, though, without what's in the capital reserve, the budget or the balance right now is over $296,000. With that much of a surplus, you want to explain the proposed increase in the trash fee?
Is that what the number?
I don't know exactly what the fund balance is, it crept up slightly, but we continue to use the capital reserves down. So even though the fund balance is there, what's happening is the interest was so good the last year and a half. So we, that kind of kept us where it was. And then it's very hard to estimate how much to dump in, but every year I'm dumping in. Last year it was like 30-some thousand, and I'm dumping money into that fund, or it would have a negative. And I asked the board if they wanted to go that way this year, and they said no, they want to continue doing it the way it is now. So the funds are being spent. The trash contract went up another 2%, and next year they will be going out for bid again, and I can tell you it will not go down. So trash just keeps going up, and they were some of the factors that instead of having a big increase in 2, 3, 4 years from now, they decided on a minimal increase at this time. Since there's no tax increase in our general fund from the tax levy, they're not proposing any increase in that. But the proprietary fund, which is the solid waste fund, you run it like a business, and you can see everything else is going up, so that continues to go up. And you don't want, yes, we do have some reserves, but they're eventually going to be depleted, because I keep, the one CD that I had was over 100,000 a couple of years ago. It's down now to about 80,000. But there again, I keep getting good interest on it. That's not going to continue. It's dropping already if the feds continue. Who knows what it'll be like next year? No one has a crystal ball. But we are not covering the amount of the expense for the trash, just for the contract itself. We are not covering that with the fees that are being charged. So in order to keep that buffer there so that in the future you don't have to do that, then you have a large increase all at once. They decided to increase it minimally this year because it hasn't been increased for several years.
Okay.
Thanks for that, Dave. Thank you for that excellent detail and right off the cuff, so much
To
appreciated.
go with that,
And John, I'm going to back up for just a moment. So you said that I agreed, I guess at the July 23rd meeting that I agreed.
Yeah, well, There was
I-
discussion and
Yeah.
you were acceptable of that. But
Me being acceptable of it and what our solicitor advises us may be two different things. So if the solicitor advises that it can go up, that a draft employee agreement can go on the website, hey, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, and
If-
I know he was
just
here
wanna
and discussed
clarify
it, and he was okay with it because it's not critical information or anything like that, but,
that. And as long as that's still the advice of counsel, that's what we will.
okay. Yeah, I'm just glad you're not voting on it tonight after us not even having a chance.
That's
Okay.
correct. That's correct.
And then, just to go with that trash fee discussion, when you were discussing the fee increase, why was it no one at the table was calculating what that increase would actually equate to in terms of what that offset would be? I mean, you're just shooting from the hip at $3-4. I mean,
No, I
Well,
did.
As I
well,
recall, I
yeah.
think we were.
You
Okay.
said, that's,
Yeah.
you did tell me to take it back and calculate it, and that's what I did.
Yeah. And again, we had 3 budget meetings, John, you were present at all 3,
mhm.
right? We're not gonna rehash.
That's why I
the
questioned
budget
it, yeah.
again.
So, okay,
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. Any other citizen participation at this time?
I just want to thank the township for paving our road. They did a wonderful job. It's Styles Drive. They did a wonderful job, and we appreciate it very much. And thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Yes.
That was New Enterprise,
New
yes.
Enterprise.
You did a good job.
Nice road. Could raise the assessment.
Well, thank you very much for that. Moving on to approval of the minutes, the October 22, that was township meeting, supervisor meeting. I didn't have any corrections or comments to it, did anybody else? No? Make a motion to approve the minutes from the October 22nd meeting, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Sean, second, all in favor? Aye. Minutes from the October 22nd meeting are approved. Takes us to the October 24th budget meeting, workshop meeting. I didn't have any corrections or comments to that one. Did anyone else?
No.
Okay, motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Brad makes the motion.
I'll second.
Sean, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes for the October 24th budget meeting are approved. And lastly, the October 31st, that was our final third budget meeting. Any comments, corrections on that, those minutes?
No, that looked good to me.
Okay, I didn't have any comments or corrections either. Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Sean makes the motion, second.
I'll second.
Brad, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes for the October 31st meeting, budget meeting are approved. That takes us to persons to be heard. Chief Assessor Randy Waggoner and Deputy Assessor Darla McNaughton.
Thank you. Try to stand so I don't have my back to anybody. Want to thank the supervisors and Daisy for the invitation to come and speak this evening. My name's Randy Waggoner. I'm the Chief Assessor in Perry County. I have with me Darla McNaughton. She's my Deputy Chief Assessor. And in case you're questioning whether I'm telling the truth or not, my pastor is here. You can see right through me, so the pressure's on. So I do want to thank you for the opportunity for Darla and I to be here tonight. It's hard to believe we were here last spring, summer, at the beginning of the project when there was a lot in the social media about it. And we went over just the general steps and what it curtails in a reassessment. And we even put together an illustration because assessment law says that any taxing authority cannot use reassessment as a tax windfall. So there's a two-step process that anyone that collects a real estate tax has to go through at the conclusion of the reassessment, which will be this time next year, but I'll get to that later on. At this point, all the data collection for the residential and farm properties are completed. What will happen now is when the data entry folks are looking at the work that is turned in by the data collectors, if they have any questions, they will send data collectors out on rechecks. Also in the mail, you should have received what we're calling a data verification mailer. It is primarily verifying all the information on the interior of your home. If you haven't received one yet, Darla has some samples of what you will be receiving in the mail. And feel free, if there are any questions that you have on those mailers, there's a phone number that you can call in to the reassessment office or to the vision office. Or if there is nothing to be changed, or if everything on your data verification mailer is accurate, you don't have to do anything. You can just put it in file 13 or keep it for when you get your change of assessment notice. But we sent those out in 3 batches. Rye Township was in what we call the third or the central part of the county's batch, and they would have went out, again, somewhere around November 4th to the 6th. They should have went in the mail. We're currently, or the Vision, I keep saying we, it's Vision. The assessment office is just giving some administrative guidance at this point of the project. Are going out on the commercial and business properties, which also include the tax exempt properties. We get questioned once in a while, why is someone measuring a church? Why is someone measuring a municipal building? They don't have to pay taxes. That's right, they don't. But assessment law says that a reassessment company and or the assessment office must put a value on every property in the county. So they will still come to the door, get the information on what's the inside use of the building, and then with permission, they will take exterior measurements. And the municipalities and all tax exempt properties will get a notification as to what their revised assessment is. I'm amazed personally in the number of church sales. Now, a lot of those are United Methodist churches who, unfortunately, the Methodist Church is going through a bit of an evolution or change, and a lot of the congregations are walking away. I've seen more church sales probably in the last 2 years than in my 41 years in the assessment business. So I'm very surprised. So it's a good thing that we do have values on those, because if they go from a church organization to a private individual, they're taxed. So we have to have a value on them. But they're about 2/3 of the way done of the commercial properties. So far, we've been told that only about 15% of the data verification mailers have been returned. So I like to figure my glass is half full. I figure 85% of the properties are accurate with the information that was collected. And the person from Vision said, oh, we're a little disappointed at the response. I said, don't be. That means you're 85% accurate. I wouldn't worry about it. So hopefully that holds true. The next step in the project, though, will be the mailing of what Vision is calling preliminary values. Somewhere around, on or around February 10th of next year, the northeastern section of the county will get their preliminary value notices. Around the 24th of February, the western end of the county will get their preliminary notices. And then Rye Township, is part of the central batch, as we call it, you're going to get your notices around March 10th of next year. Make sure you take a look at that, because if you have any questions on that, there will be a review process. You can either do a phone review, call in, and go over everything that went into creating that value on your property, or you can schedule an appointment and come into New Bloomfield and actually sit down with somebody and they can show you how that value was created. Those are going to go out in the spring of next year. We have to have, by law, all those informal reviews done by June the 1st. And then somewhere between June 1st and June 30, the official notice of value or your official change of assessment notice as a result of reassessment will be mailed. On that notice, we're going to do like we did in 2000 and put what's called an impact statement, saying that based on this new assessment, and if the county goes with a revenue neutral millage, in other words, not collect any more in tax revenue than what they collected the year before the reassessment kicked in, what your revised taxes will be. and it'll show that compared to what your previous year's taxes, what the difference is. And if this reassessment pans out like the last one, it's gonna be a third, a third, a third. A third of the property owners are gonna see their taxes go down as a result of the reassessment. A third are gonna see them stay the same, and a third are gonna see them go up. Independent of the reassessment company in 2010, when that reassessment was over, I ran my own statistics. I'm kind of a numbers nerd. I like working with numbers. And I used as a benchmark $50. And I first went in and said, okay, based on the new values, how many persons, residential and agricultural property owners, saw their tax bill go down $51 or more? It was about 36% of them. And then I said, okay, how many people saw their tax bill remain within $50 plus or minus of what it was before? Approximately 33% of the property owners. And then I said, okay, how many people saw their taxes go up $51 or more? And it was 31%. So independent of anybody else, I did it on my own, ran those statistics, and it worked out 36, 33, and 31%. So it does pan out. Something that once those notices go out, it's gonna be just like the last time. You can do a phone review. You can request to come in and just sit down with somebody and say, look, I missed the informal review time frame. Just, can someone show me how you came up with this value? Or you can file a formal appeal. We have to have all the formal appeals over by October 31st. Perry County's own assessment office is going to be responsible for that. So you're going to be dealing with Perry County employees, Perry County residents for that phase of the project. Once we get all the appeals over, pardon me, and we know what all the changes are, we're going to send letters out to all the municipalities and the school districts, again, offering to sit down with you to help you calculate that revenue neutral millage rate. And then assessment law says, once you calculate at what millage rate will you collect the same amount of revenue as the previous year, you may increase that up to 10%. So Darla and I will offer to come out and help with those calculations, bring you any reports that you want to see. Prior to that, somewhere around the first week in November, we're going to send out what your revised taxable assessments are. If you want to run your own numbers, you can do that too. But we will provide whatever tools you feel is necessary to make those decisions. And by law, we have to have that. We have to have those reports out by November 15th. But Darla and I don't like to wait till the last minute. I used to, but she kind of snaps to the whip and says, "No, we ain't waiting till the last minute."
We know she keeps you straight.
And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. That's pretty much all I have by way of a presentation on the reassessment, but you're welcome to ask us any questions you may have. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on your form, you have your telephone number, and it says, leave a message for a return call. What's the turnaround time going to be?
I can't tell you that.
Because I had a friend call last Thursday, and he's still waiting. And I know there was a holiday in there, but Thursday to Tuesday, and
Do you know your friend's, can I have your friend's name, please? I will see if they get a phone call tomorrow.
Bill Worley, he's in Duncannon.
Worley.
Yeah. I told him today I would ask.
Do you know what his address is, just by?
No,
Okay.
I don't
But
know.
Duncannon address, nope, that's good enough.
But he said he called last Thursday, and he carries the phone with him and his paper, so he can,
Understand. I will be in the reassessment office tomorrow.
Okay.
Any other questions on the process? Yes, sir.
This last paper that they just had out, that I just mailed in like Monday, what was that all about?
That was what we first passed out here, that data verification mailer.
That one?
Yeah, I mean,
It's on the
there's been no
interior.
changes,
I'm sorry?
there's been no changes in the house, so I just marked nothing, no changes, and sent it back in.
That's perfect. That's perfect. That's just to confirm that what we have is true and
Because
accurate.
there was somebody out earlier in the year
Yes, and if you were home, they were able to interview you. But unfortunately, I'm amazed at the number of properties. And again, I thank the social media persons last spring for increasing the number of no trespassing signs, or as I learned, there's something called purple paint, which means the same thing. And so, okay, that's fine. You don't let us on your property, we're gonna estimate. And then when these went out, we had some people coming in and saying, you people are crazy. None of this information, or most of this information is wrong. Well, did
That's why.
you talk to the Well, no, I have no trespassing signs.
Okay, I'm
We
just
don't have a
curious.
crystal ball, unfortunately, but we do the best we can. But I appreciate you sending that in.
Okay.
Saw a hand up here. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, all the properties, you said about a third went up. So what type of properties on average did go up? Like really mostly residential, commercial, or?
I only analyze residential properties, and it was usually the properties that were older, and because the previous valuation system incorporated what I call real heavy depreciation tables, and these properties, like you take a farmhouse, beautiful mountain stone farmhouse or brick farmhouse, built around the 1900s, but in the last 50 to 75 years has been totally gutted, totally taken down to the studding, and everything's been remodeled in it, from the electrical system to the plumbing systems to floor coverings. Unfortunately, assessment law regulates how much of a change we can make. So then when you do a countywide reassessment, the goal of the reassessment company in this case excuse me, is to put a value on that property as of July 1st, 2025, that if the owner of that property listed it on the open market under no compulsion to sell, and a buyer comes in with no pressure to buy, what's the value of that going to be? I can almost guarantee it's a lot more than what it's assessed.
So it's mostly remodel, upgrade? The properties?
Remodeled, older homes
Okay.
that are very well kept. And then the argument, or the comment I normally get after making that statement is, so what you're saying is, if you take care of your property, you're going to be punished. I said, well, it depends on your definition of punished. Let's face it, the better you keep your property, if someday you go to sell the property, that's when you're going to get it. You're going to get all that hard work back for you. All the reassessment does is hopefully puts a fair and equitable assessment on that property. Any other questions?
Is there a worksheet that a resident could go to, that everybody then can understand, okay, hey, it's number of bedrooms factors in, I'm assuming, to the value. So if you have 2 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms, that should make a difference. Something so that residents can look at and get an idea how it's calculated, as opposed to somebody walking up and saying, wow, this place is really nice. Here's this amount, this place is not so nice, here's this amount.
I can check and see if the reassessment company has something like that. I will say that when it comes to a dwelling, whether it's seasonal or permanent dwelling, it's based as much on square footage as anything, because I live right across, I live in Cumberland County, right across from a development known Wellington of Hampton. And when it was first going in, I went with the assessor who had Hamden Township. At that time, I was the chief assessor in Cumberland County. And I went into the first 3 homes built in that development. And I was blown away at, I don't want to call it wasted space. It's not up to me to criticize anybody's dream or dream house. But you're talking 3,000-4,000 square feet of living area. I'm not talking total house. This is just living area. And there's only 3 bedrooms. I mean, the bedrooms were huge. My wife would have fell in love with the closets. The one closet is bigger than the 1 bedroom in our house now. And, it was funny because after they were moving on that development, they had a model home, and my mom was still living at the time, and her and my wife said to me, walk over there with us. They're having an open house. And I said, tell you what, you tell me which house you're going into and I can describe it to you. Well, you were already in. No, they're all pretty much the same. And so they did. They went over and sure enough, they came back. So to go back to your, I can give you a verbal checklist now, but I'm sure they have something in the reassessment office. It's mostly based on square footage of living area. Yeah, a 3-bedroom house would carry maybe a slightly higher value than, say, a 2-bedroom. 4-bedroom maybe slightly higher than a 3, but if you get to like 5 bedrooms, then it doesn't add as much of an increase as it does going from a 2 to a 3 or a 3 to a 4, if that makes sense. There's an economy to scale. Obviously, you know, if you got a 2 or 3 car attached garage, that's going to be worth a little more than a detached garage. So, you know, what I tell folks when they come in, I tell them, just as a general rule of thumb, if you look at an amenity, whatever it may be, garage, attached versus detached, 2.5 baths versus 2 full baths, if in your mind you would pay more or less for that particular amenity, then yeah, it will affect the value. As to how much of an effect, well, it depends on the particular amenity. But I can see if they have pamphlets on that.
Okay, okay. But square footage is.
Square footage of living area. And living area is defined as above grade, heated, finished area. So like on a bi-level house, when you walk in, you're standing on a foyer. You can either go up 3 steps to a living area or down 3 steps. That lower level is not considered living area, even though it's finished at the same time the house is built, because when you're in that lower area from about your stomach or waist down, you're below grade. So it carries a lower value than that area that's fully above grade. So it's heated above grade, finished area.
I didn't know that, not that I have that.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
You don't have to, you know, if you think of something or questions after tonight, feel free to use the number on the data verification form. Or if you want to call into Perry County's own assessment office and ask for Darla or I, our number is exactly the same, except it's 5106 and not 5108. I guarantee you Darla or I will return your calls. That's one of our pet peeves. If someone doesn't return a call within at least 1 business day, we like to know why.
Okay. Darla, Randy, thanks very much.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you. With your permission, I'll take our leave.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, folks. Thank you. It's good to hear. I'll pass that along.
It's nice to know that, you know, people are sending out to bother us.
Well,
Yeah.
They, and this particular reassessment allowed us to take part in the hiring process, so that was
They,
good too.
yeah, the gentleman was
Thank you.
very, thank you.
See you. See you, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate
See
it.
you then. Have a good evening, folks.
Okay, that takes us to zoning code enforcement report. We actually have 2. First one is from September, November, no, I'm sorry, wait a second, that's Stroud. So this one says September through November, Daisy, and then this one says October.
That's the one I got first, and then she sent me that one November 8th.
Okay, so this second
That's
one
the
is
more recent.
including this or no?
I don't know.
Those are the same things you want.
There's 9 on there. There's 12 here, so
27, 20.
for the entrances.
No, I'm looking at
The
the date,
dates.
I'm looking at the dates.
Yeah, it does look like there's some. It looks like she combined
Yeah, it's
them.
combined.
Because this is the one I got first, and then she added what happened in between this and that.
Okay, so this is.
That looks
Yeah,
like
this
this.
is-
we don't
okay.
really need this.
Okay, okay, good, then we got that straight.
I might
Okay.
recognize one or two, but overall.
So we've got 12 items for a total of, there is no total, so there you haven't invoiced us for these, right?
Yeah, there's actually two. I did, I'm only allowed up to go to 2,500 for the interim, so because they were late, there again, the invoices were not coming to me. Because I kept asking Max, well, he'd go back to Carol, his secretary, and she'd say, oh, we sent them. He thought it was all taken care of, and I said, we never got here. For almost 2 months, we weren't getting, and I thought, gee, that's really strange. Finally, I said, Max, we need the bills. We don't want them all coming in 1 month like that. So anyway, I did pay the oldest bills from June to August. On 11/5, it's $2,240.18. And then you will see another one, August to September, $3,028.63. So it did add up over those months to over $5,000. But now I think we got it straightened out, and I have no idea what was wrong. But I wasn't getting reports, I wasn't getting invoices, so I don't know if it was Penn data or if it was JHA and how they were sending them. I really have no idea. But we're getting them now, so. So you probably do want to make a motion to approve those, to pay them.
Well, that's gonna be under payment of the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the invoices.
Yeah, okay,
Pay the invoices.
okay. I'll make a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, and that'll be up here. If anyone wants to take a look at that. Sewage enforcement. 3 items for a total of $880. I'll make a motion to approve payment of $880 to FSA. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bills are approved to be paid. That will also be up here. Road report, Brad, please.
Yep, we finished the second mowing of all the main roads. We might have time to do some of the back roads yet. Set up for the election and lodge road tables. Cleaned up down trees on Green Gap, Pine Hill. Replaced the hydraulic cylinder on the tractor mower. We cleaned up out here in the Florida bed. Moved all that for the election. And other stuff there. Repaired the wiring on the backhoe. Only pressure washed the tractor mower. And met with contractor and Michelle out there at Miller's Gap.
Good. Okay. Thanks, Brad.
And thanks for getting that tree on Saturday too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, especially that. Yeah, we had a tree down on New Valley, Xena Spec called it in.
Yeah.
And Brad and Johnny went out and took care of it.
And John
Right away.
Fitzsimmons called, there was an 8-foot limb hanging. You won't even see it unless you looked up. So he
Oh.
always takes care of Landscape Road.
Oh.
But he couldn't get this one, so Johnny went out today and got it.
Oh, great. Thank you for that. Thanks, Brad. That takes us to rec board report. Nancy.
There isn't any.
There isn't any.
No, we're done for the year.
Over the year.
That's easy.
Okay. Emergency management report. We don't have Jim or Kurt here, so I'm assuming.
Kurt did
None?
stop in and say he's still pursuing the radios. And Mike Minnick said, it was last week, about 2.5 weeks yet. They are actually still using some of their older radios. Until they get the new ones all programmed and given out to whomever, it just takes a little time.
Okay.
And they've been busy too with all of their responses. So that's why it's kind of delayed, and they have not cashed the check yet. So they have it, but they haven't cashed it because they didn't give us the radios yet.
Okay. Thanks, Daisy.
Bookkeeper.
Financial treasurer's report. Please, Stacy.
The general fund checking account began with a balance on October 1st of $148,501.64. Had receipts of $69,428.42. Expenditures of $70,987.19. Interest earned of $182.87, leaving us a balance November 1st in the general checking of $147,125.74. The Penn checking account had only interest activity and had a balance November 1st of $2,309.60. The American Rescue Plan funds had a balance October 1st of $269,040.33, $799.75 in interest, leaving us a balance November 1st in the American Rescue Plan funds of $269,840.08. General savings at the Bank of Landisburg had only interest activity and had a balance November 1st of $2,525.71. Liquid fuels accounts are pretty much dormant this time of the year. Checking had only interest activity and had a balance November 1st of $95.11. And the liquid fuel savings account had only interest activity and had a balance November 1st of $2,685.92.
Okay, thanks, Daisy. Do you have to, is your recorder?
Yes, it's doing it again. I think it's these batteries, actually. Next time I'm getting yours, I'll energize it. I shouldn't have said that, yes, but these just do not last. I even have extra one here. I should charge them, I guess, with a computer.
Let us know when you're ready.
Okay,
Good.
almost. I need some.
I like your shoes. What are they?
Hold on, I'm going to get out of that file and enter another one. There's all these folders in there. All right, I'm good to go.
Good?
We're
Okay. All right, that takes us to resolution. So resolution 24-29, transfer matured investment CD at Bank of Landisburg.
Okay. I don't know what's wrong with it. Anyway, there's a general investment CD at Bank of Landisburg, and we were taking a really good interest rate there, 4.75. $227,275 is the estimated amount at maturity, which it matures in a couple of weeks, but before our next meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer $127,275 into a 5-year CD, which you can get as long as you have the jumbo CD at 3.50%, APY 3.55. And I'm going to take the other $100,000 that we talked about and put it into a general fund budget CD for 6 months at Penn Bank at 4.20. Now that's the rate today. It may change, but it's 4.20%. $100,000 to be transferred at maturity into the general fund to assist with the 2025 budget that we had discussed about the culvert. So I'm dividing that general investment CD, and that way the one's invested for 5 years. It doesn't have all that much in it compared to some of the other ones. But then this one will be available to transfer in when we start with the engineering and the culvert and everything else. It'll be ready in 6 months, so, or matured in 6 months. So that's what that's doing, moving that money there.
Thanks, Daisy.
Mm-hmm.
Motion to approve resolution 24-29.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Sean made the motion, Brad second. Resolution 24-30, the burn ban in effect.
It's just kind of formalized.
Mm-hmm. That's the burn ban one.
Temporary open burning ban. Whereas due to the current dry conditions and in consultation with the fire chief and emergency management coordinators, and for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Rye Township, the Board of Supervisors intends to implement a temporary open burning ban. Now be it resolved, open burning and setting off of fireworks, it is,
Okay, finish it.
is prohibited in the township effective immediately. Open burn means kindling or maintaining a fire of any kind where the products of combustion are emitted directly into the ambient air without passing through a stack or chimney. Open burning includes campfires, burning in a burn barrel, and burning in patio wood burning units. Prohibition on open burning does not apply to enclosed gas, charcoal, or barbecue type grills in use for cooking, though extreme caution is advised in the use thereof during the temporary open burning ban. The ban shall remain in effect for 30 days unless sooner terminated by the Board of Supervisors. The township will provide reasonable actions to provide notice to the public of the temporary ban on open burning. This burning ban will be enforced by the township code enforcement officer. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 24-30. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 24-30 is approved.
30 days. 30 days.
New business, present a draft of the 2025 budget for the 20-day public review period with tentative adoption at the December 17th meeting. Authorize advertisement of the same.
Okay.
Yes.
I already told you that the budget is approved for 2025 without a tax increase. It will remain at .900. The amount for the general fund is, let me get that number, $1,048,000. I'm not used to saying it's $1,048,260. You can tell I'm not used to reading that big of a number. That's just the general fund. And the main thing that's driving that is the purchase of a tractor mower at over $220,000, which will be paid for by American Rescue Fund monies. That is obligated with a purchase order, and we couldn't get it delivered in this year. We wish we could have, I'm sure, but that will come probably, they're looking May, June, spring, some late spring, somewhere around there. So that's what's driving that amount up. And also the culvert damage down on Heisley Road. That's going to be well over $100,000 to repair that culvert when you get the engineering involved with it, which we're working on that right now. So Max is working on that. Pretty much, it's pretty much standard. Otherwise, we've had a few interim assessments, so that went up slightly, but we really didn't raise a whole lot though. One good thing that came about is we have over 6,600 acres of game commission lands, and we were getting around between $7,800 and $7,900 a year as payment in lieu of taxes for all of that land. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm glad we have that land preserved and conserved, but I also see the other end that you don't get any tax money coming into the township for it. And the Game Commission hadn't raised it. I don't ever remember it, ever. In 30 years, I don't remember it. I don't know when they raised it last, but it was a long time. So now we're actually getting $3 an acre. So we get over $19,000. So that's a nice increase in our revenue, because you'd have to have some big house, several big homes to get, $19,000, in tax money. So it's nice that the Game Commission finally came forward and increased that for us. I thought that was some good news. The solid waste fund is balanced, and it will be balanced with a transfer from the capital reserve of approximately $49,000. That amount is calculated in the middle of December, whenever the final bills are paid. And then I go through and I figure out, where we're at with the fund balance and everything. And right now, we are in the red with the fund. I can tell you that right now. So, because we're not bringing in, the only revenue that comes in is some interest, and then the money that comes in with your trash bills, whether they're commercial trash bills or residential, the trash billing brings in revenue. We have some miscellaneous income. Sometimes the guys will get some things recycled through the cleanup. They'll have some scrap metal and such that will come back to us. And then there's a small recycling grant that we get that's around $35 to $40. It is very minimal, but Nancy always helps me and we put it together. It's probably more work than it's worth, but we still do it because it's available for us, and that's for the cardboard. I wish they would let us do the tires, but they don't do that. They do. They're glad we do it. You have to get a permit to recycle the tires, but you don't get any help with it, which I don't understand that. But anyway, we don't. But that's all the revenue we get, and then the expenses. That also includes all the billing. That includes the contract. That includes the cleanup. That they're planning on having another cleanup probably in May, but that will be established at the organization meeting. And then the fund also pays for wages. It pays for my wages 1 day a week. And believe me, I have been very busy since we went with Pam's. Just the changeover, the glitches. You ask Nancy, that's all we seem to get done. And she goes, I can't believe I thought these would be settled by now. But and they have questions too. That's understandable because they're working with people that they don't know or accounts they don't know. And Keystone, we just had trouble getting accurate data transfer. And I don't know, I'm not saying they did it deliberately, not at all. I think it had something to do with their program, and it's just, I'm not sure, I don't even understand it, but I know what they sent me first was a mess. But we did get it narrowed down, and I think I'm going to be looking at a master list now that will come to me probably first or second week of December, and I hope to get that. Catch some things that weren't quite right. I thought I caught some before, but there was still some other things that were not right. The liquid fuels fund is accounting, it's kind of a deficit budget because it is being supplemented by the general fund of $40,000 to assist with paving several roads. We put Heisley Road on there, and I looked today, and that hadn't been paved since 1999. So, not that, I don't know if they would have done it next year or not, but because of the culvert in that area anyway, that will be, the paving of it will be paved through liquid fuels. Spruce Road, a portion of Spruce Road, Weaver Drive, the entire road. If you notice on Lamb's Gap Road, there's base repair that was done this year. They're going to be trying to top most of that next year. I do have it estimated for half. If for some reason the bids came in high, then you could cut it back some. But that's I think that will work out. We had Rick Levan come in and go over the roads with the guys, and he gave us the estimates, and we based it on this year's cost plus added like 5% to it. 4 or 5%, and you just don't know where oil's going to be next year, where your paving's going to be. But anyway, I think that they've been paving, a good amount of roads, and they try to pick the roads that haven't. We have a road history list. They go over that. The guys also see the conditions of the road. The road could be from 2000, 2001, but it's not highly traveled. So they try to keep up with Lamb's Gap, New Valley Road, which right now is in pretty good shape. But Lamb's Gap is highly traveled. The guys can't barely work out there. But, so that's our budget, and it has gone up, but I also see the good coming out of it, and you know where that money and why, why it has gone up. And I think they're trying to put the tax dollars and, and the interest and the revenues that we do receive to work for you, for the good of the community, without raising your taxes. There's always more you could do, but it's kind of like when you go shopping. You like to get that, but you got to try to use some wisdom. And I believe the board is conservative, and I appreciate that. So unless you have any questions, that's about all I have on.
No questions. Question? Okay. That said, I'll make a motion to approve, authorize advertisement of the budget. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Brad second. Sean second. All in favor? Aye. Budget is approved to be authorized or advertised, and you said it's going to go on the website.
Yeah, I'll put it on the website.
Okay.
So I can also send in an email blast, but I will do that tomorrow.
How big is the file?
It's not that big.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an Excel spread. I'll put it in PDF.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that
It
big.
went last year.
Not that big.
It's
Okay.
only, I have page numbers now. I told you I fixed it. There's 9 pages.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It'll be okay.
All right. Thank you, Daisy.
Mhm.
Resolution 24-31 for Penn Waste 2-year contract extension. This is just for the cardboard.
Yes, this is our cardboard haul, when they come from York and pick it up and take it and recycle it and then bring the empty container back for us. Right now, we're paying $3.45, but the contract called for $3.60, and for whatever reason, they never increased it this year for us. So, and they seem to know that, but they didn't increase it. I have no idea why. But taking that in consideration, where they should have been this year at $3.60, next year will be $3.70, so they're catching up next year. 2026 will be $3.90, and they were, the consensus was that was okay. I did negotiate a little bit with them, but I didn't want to negotiate too much because they've been good to us this year. We only have right now between 7 and 9 hauls, so it's not like it's a lot. I think it went down this year. I think Nancy and I were looking at it, the recycling. Didn't it go down?
For the
A
number.
little bit.
Just
It
slightly.
wasn't a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. It takes a lot of cardboard.
We call them when it's full, or they come every...
Either I call or Brad calls, or I
Okay.
email the one guy.
Okay, we trade with them to come get it.
Yeah, we come, we do.
They don't take it till it's full.
No,
Okay.
we do not take it till it's full. And we've had people down there jamming it in. I said, you can try. I said, it looks pretty full, but you can try. Okay, I'm going to try.
That said, make a motion to approve Resolution 24-31. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Brad second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 24-31 is approved.
And this is extending the contract that was adopted through Resolution 1820.
Okay.
And it does allow for an extension, so that's what we're doing. I really don't know who else would take it, to tell you the truth.
Well, that's part of
There's
the,
the bugger.
that's gonna be part of the problem.
Mhm.
I hate to say. Although hopefully next year fuel should stabilize.
Yeah, that was one of the things I told them when I was negotiating. Well, fuel pretty much stayed the same.
Takes us to renewal of the permit for 1860 Valley Road, a 6-month temporary permit.
Jimmy called and paste the copy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Living in an existing dwelling while constructing a new home, so this is just an extension.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're
Questions,
they're not
issues?
ready
No,
to move.
they're
I
not
mean,
ready.
if they were moving next week, I'd say, don't worry about it.
Motion.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, extension is approved.
An additional 6 months.
Additional
An
6
additional
months.
6 months,
Yes.
Okay, and I will wait until the date is actually 11/21.
Right, yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, resolution 24-32, consider approval of the newly revised employee handbook. Again, that's, we're not gonna vote on that this evening. Again, we've got copies of.
We have copies of them.
Here to review.
Would you like a motion, would you like a motion to table that?
Would like a motion to table that.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Did you, was that you, Brad?
Yep.
You seconded it?
Yep.
All right. And Bruce is the one that was working on that, so.
Daisy did a lot of work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of, once you take something out,
Yeah,
that's something you have to change.
because it wasn't, I mean, a lot of times if you had a word, when you change something, it automatic, this wasn't like that. So
No, it wasn't.
Deleted sections, so you had to go and renumber all the subsequent
Yeah.
sections. And
Yeah.
then we didn't realize that one section had already been deleted, so we had to go back and renumber.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, yeah, I gotta go read, then you have to change the table content.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're getting there, I think it's right.
It should be pretty much ready to go.
Okay, that takes us to announcements. November 28th, 29th, and December 2nd, the township will be closed for Thanksgiving and deer season. There'll be no change in the trash collection schedule. December 3rd at 7:30 PM is Planning Commission meeting right here. December 17th. It's also the day I need to go to the magistrate's office for the dumping. That got
Did you
rescheduled.
get, yeah, I put a copy out there in your bin for you.
Yeah.
They continued it until the 17th.
Sorry, December 17th at 7 PM is the board meeting right here. December 25th and January 1st, the township will be closed for Christmas and New Year's 2025. No change in trash collection. And then January 6th of next year at 7 PM is going to be the organization meeting for the township. Takes us to approval and payment of the bills. Daisy, please.
General fund checks 18103 to 18129 in the amount of $54,200 and 18 cents with no expense checks delivered. Payroll checks 8420, 8424 in the amount of $4,831 and 82 cents. Payroll checks 8425, 8430 in the amount of $4,725 and 97 cents, and there were no payroll checks delivered.
Comments, questions? Okay, make a motion to approve payment of the bills. Do we have a second? I'll second. Brad, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Bills are approved to be paid. Thank you, Daisy. Takes us to the second portion of citizen participation. Do we have any at this time? John?
Sorry, this wasn't on that sheet up there, but I saw it when I looked at the check register after doing it. Can you explain the payment to Glenvale Church of God? At the bottom?
Yeah, so that's, and Daisy has more detail on it, but that is our, what's the official name for it?
Emergency disaster center.
Yeah, so back, I think this whole thing came about during COVID, if memory serves. Again, this came up, and I need to touch base with Daisy again, but that's kind of our go-to place for the township in case of emergency. And they had looked into an air purification system for that. And again, being that serves the township as an emergency location, we felt that was worthwhile investment.
Okay, do we have receipts of that, or how many times do we use it in the last, 10 years?
We do have receipts. I don't have them here right now.
Yeah, John, I can't tell you how many times we used it in the past, but again, it's one of those things where when we do need it,
You need it.
it's there. And that was viewed as being a small investment in resident safety, should we ever need it.
Insurance policy.
All right, next question then I have is about the wood chips. Does the township make any wood chips from the wood and brush that is dropped off?
down there, nobody wants them, because they're not treated. So, does that answer your question?
Well, I'm just wondering, the website indicates the township does, and the wood chips are available to public, but no chips have been available this last year, and the chipper hasn't moved from the pole building for that entire duration either. So, okay, I guess I'll continue on, you know. If the township doesn't make wood chips, where does that brush go when it's dropped off? Because I still see people dropping off brush back there, so where does that go?
Do I have to answer?
What have we been doing with it?
Well, generally, I got rid of a lot of it myself. I took a lot of it myself and got rid of it. I'm getting full now, so. And the last that the guy brought in at election time, I took across the fence because there was wire in it, and I had the wire out there laying on the dump truck, okay? Most of the stuff we get in is stuff that we can't ship anyway.
Do you know, are there some residents that have requested? I can't say as I've ever had anybody ask me for it, or.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have a wood chipper and we advertise it on our website. That would be the first thing, but my.
Well, but, I mean, there's no point in shipping it if nobody's going to use it, so.
Do you want something?
I
I'll
guess-
save you some.
My follow-on question to that then, okay? I'll follow. You know, he says that he takes it behind the fence.
I did the last
Right.
because it got wire.
And I've seen there's lots of fill, lots of brush back there, but I'll continue on here. Isn't the area behind the fence considered part of the floodway of Fishing Creek? If residents were placing this vegetation or other fill materials at this location, the township would go after them since encroachments to include fill would only be permitted if demonstrated through analysis that there would not be any increase in flood levels. Like, what analysis been done for this continual filling of the township property bordering Fishing Creek? You know, by building up the township side of Fishing Creek, it affects the neighboring properties. It dams the creek, flooding upstream properties and properties across it. So we keep putting stuff back there, building it higher, which is wrong per our ordinance. And I know a supervisor has told me he's told Brad not to put it back there, but still continuing it.
Put brush back there, I'll tell you that right now, because I had to get rid of it. I wanted to replace
I
it.
mean, you can look at an aerial and see how it went from vegetation to now it's all built up, and we've got the recycling dumpsters back there. You know, I wonder what DEP would have to say about that, or our floodplain administrator in our own township, to see that kind of stuff. But you guys get to decide what happens. I know he keeps filling it in. There's never going to be a repercussion, even if you tell him to stop. So I'm just bringing it up to your attention of what's happening. Because obviously no one sees back there other than Brad. So anyway, thank you. That's all I had on that.
Okay, thank you, John. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn, but before that, I want to announce that we're going to have an executive session immediately following this meeting to discuss personnel. Beyond that, make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Is there any detail on that? What is the personnel matter concerning?
Personnel.
I mean, more than just personnel matter? Like, is it somebody retiring, somebody doing something? Like, that is the standard of, per the Office of Open Records. I'm tired of hearing just personnel matters, so I'll let the solicitor answer on that, but.
You'd like to add something?
Well, I think our personnel matter is confidential until they become finalized, so I think that's the issue. Once it becomes finalized, it'll be public, but for the moment, it's not.
Yeah, I'll try and get to what the right to know office says, and where it says, the reasons stated by the public agency must be specific, indicating a real discrete matter. I'm just saying personnel matters. Doesn't seem like it's real discrete, you know. Trying to say what it is, specific. But again, you guys like to keep it vague, so that's all right. Go ahead.
Are you done, John?
The solicitor answered the question. I'm not sure what the problem is.
There's no problem, there should be no problem.
So
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. Hey, if that's his stance, okay. Just vague.
Okay, anyone else? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for coming out.